This is interesting because there's a small Anasazi building here. What its purpose would have been, who knows? And it appears to be the only one in this complex, which in itself should have been a interesting complex for the Anasazi with the 3 bridges in it. This is the Anasazi building in Bridges National Park, or Monument. To my knowledge, it's the only one here. But I'm always entranced by the location and how they must have viewed it from this position. What a beautiful little world it is. And how the rest of the world, whatever that meant to them, and in fact, how far away it must have been in reality, in perception. Consider, for example, that the weather must have been a fairly rapid changing thing from their viewpoint, in that there was no way, since the weather was coming from behind me, behind the view you have in the camera right now, about right there, directly behind me. And so they never saw it till it came over the top, as opposed to those who lived on the plains who could see for miles and miles and miles to the southwest to see what the weather was going to be like. But perhaps down there in these flat areas you see below, near the stream, they farmed. And there's no evidence of irrigation, but given the weather in the last few hundred years and the water that flows down there, it could have obliterated it. But to start up north there, north up there, and channel some water from a high point down along a low point wouldn't have been unrealistic, I guess. Except that it probably would have taken rock and so forth for it to be, in any event, in any way at all stable and useful on a long-term basis. So maybe they didn't. But maybe it wasn't that hard to haul water up to those flats. Imagine the nights, years, decades, perhaps century, of people sitting here at all times during the day, contemplating the same kinds of trials of life and the pleasures of life, the romances, the deaths, the births that we do. Here further south, but not much, by maybe 50 yards, on the same ledge is another area. All along this area here that we're walking would have been built up. This is a kiva, and it's an original kiva. The wood is original, the top on it is original, and fortunately people have left it alone, so it's fine. But this is extremely rare. In fact, I've never seen a kiva that was complete, and this one is. We'll see if we can take a look inside. You can see the air hole here, which provided exhaust for or air intake for the fire, and then perhaps right there you can see the intake or the exit of the smoke hole. And then these are called horse collar rooms. I don't think anyone knows what they mean and what they were for. They're called horse collars because clearly that looks like a horse collar, although probably the horse was unknown to them. This is also a very unique little vessel, is about all you could call it. It's designed to contain something. My guess is that it would have contained the food supplies that would have been stored there. And by putting a rock over the top, they could have protected it from mice. But notice how this is all preserved. It's fascinating that the guy that discovered this had traveled this trail 20 years until one day when it looked chilly. It was chilly down where he was. Hold on a moment. Okay, if we look inside the kiva here, put the light on, you can see it. There's the fire pit. That piece of rock there would have stood vertical to avoid the air draft affecting the fire. And then this hole over here was used to access the gods. So what you're seeing is the way this was when it was left. There's the construction of it, the original construction. They're going back 600 to 700 years. When you look at this construction, seldom is wood ever preserved very long, for the obvious reason that here it's so well protected, And people have protected it, and it has been protected from people because they couldn't find it. It is safeguarded. But anyway, the guy wanted a ledge that would be warm, and so he hiked up here, and for the first time in 20 years he discovered all of this. And he said, I felt like a kid and foolish like a child that I had missed this for 20 years that I had hiked here. But again, look at the view. Imagine yourself in this place. As a child you would have played here. As a grown-up you would have brought back what you hunted and grew and gathered. And as an adult, an old aging person, you would have sat here on one of these rocks and gazed out at the life you'd had in this very narrow place. And probably felt life was good. This is looking back down the back road into Capitol Reef National Park or Monument, I'm not sure which it is, but kind of a pretty narrow little valley with its own secret little canyons, like right over there. I think the next time I come through I'll plan to camp a night right in this spot right here, right alongside the road, and explore those canyons. They kind of fascinate me when you look at places like that and get up into that amphitheater up there just for the fun of it. Just to go in places where man probably has never been. And only because he chose to go other places. Somewhere down here we'll turn left and climb up over that, believe it or not.